Let's move on to our next topic here. And Bull,
Yeah.
tell us about Menu RX before we dive into it.
Yeah, folks, Menu RX, whether you're trying to get in better shape, trying to lose weight, just do a better job in terms of nutrition. You know, if you scroll through Instagram or Twitter, you'll see all these crackpots telling you this diet works. Maybe that diet worked for that person. It's possible. But everybody's got a different chemistry. Everybody's got a different metabolism. Menu RX uses cutting-edge metabolic testing to analyze your body's internal process, creating a diet plan or just an eating plan. It doesn't even matter if you're overweight. You want to just be in better shape, specifically for you. So if you've ever felt stuck trying to figure out what lifestyle changes will actually work for you in the long term, with Menu RX, it's like having a full team of scientists, dietitians, and doctors crafting a plan just for you. Not based on trends, but on your molecular data. Science to get you healthier. It's that simple. Visit menu-rx.com today to schedule your consultation and experience what metabolic testing can do for your performance, body composition, and long-term health. And right now, when you sign up for a Menu RX plan, you'll get a year-long membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, absolutely free, $60 value. Become a member, see our overtime for free if you sign up right now for Menu RX. So go to menu-rx.com. Stop guessing, start unlocking your full potential.
All right, guys, this is a broad question.
Okay.
It initiates and originates from a Cavaliers discussion we've had, but this can be applied to football, baseball, golf, hockey, tennis. You pick a sport, it can be applied to that sport. The question is simple. Can you teach toughness? Can you coach toughness? Or is that just something a player inherently is born with or is born without? Dustin, what do you think?
It's a great question. I think it's a little bit of both. Because I do think that your upbringing kind of creates your toughness. You know, there are players sometimes that, you know, as you grow up, you have it maybe a little bit easier than other people, but just because you're more talented, you're more gifted, or what have you. Some people have to work harder for what they achieve in life, and so it's kind of a combination. I don't believe that you can, as an older person, older in life, professional, whatever. Like, I don't think if you're 25, you're gonna develop mental toughness. Maybe you can a little bit. You know, like if you enter the military when you're 18 and you're going to go through it and you're going to, you know, whatever, you want to be a Navy SEAL, okay, you're going to learn to be tough. But like, if you're in the NFL and you just don't have it, I don't think you can get it.
Jason, what say you?
I was talking to a couple people about this, and talked to one NFL guy, an NBA guy, and the first thing was, does the tiger change the stripes? That's an old cliche that a lot of sports executives use, and whoever a guy is, that's who he's going to be. You heard Richard Jefferson in that road tripping podcast. I don't know if you guys have talked about that on the show or not.
They talked about it on Monday, I think, right?
I thought RJ had the great line, if you don't bite as a puppy, you're not going to bite as a dog. But also, I remember talking to people who were around for LeBron's first stint in Cleveland, where they'd be in huddles, and LeBron's like, I can't do that. Like on late game situations, LeBron's like, I can't do that. And look at him now.
Yeah.
So I do think that there's an evolution there. I talked. One of the NBA guys I talked to said, if you surround a guy with toughness around him, you can bring it out of him if it's in there. You can get it out of him. But you got to have 2-3 other guys around him. You got to have a Draymond around him, or, you know, something like that, to sort of get it out of him, or it's not going to come natural. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
It's not a black and white answer. It's a very
it's complicated.
It's very complicated.
Yeah. When you say, can you, like, some people's like, well, can you coach a guy? No, I don't think you can coach toughness out of a guy. I think you've either got it or you don't. Now, I think some people, it might be there, and you're right, with the right people around them or the right circumstance. Maybe something. I think it's something that, especially for like kids, like maybe maybe when you're 10, you're kind of timid, and then as you get up and you grow up and have experiences or meet different people, you become tougher, and that can happen. I think, like, if you look at a guy like Jarrett Allen, who's 26, 27 years old, whatever he is, I mean, at this point, it's hard.
I think Jarrett is what he is.
He is what he is, right? Like, maybe Evan Mobley has that in there, and it's coming out slowly, and maybe it can be pulled out by the right. But nobody can ultimately, you as the individual have to bring it out of you. Ultimately, the guys around you can help, can maybe give you help get you the tools to get that out of you. But ultimately, you got to want it. You got to want to be tougher. You got to want to it has to come internally, the growth.
But ultimately, I think you have to be who you are, because if you try and fake it, they're going to see right
That's
through it.
true.
Guys,
Yeah.
and I mean, Jarrett's an easy target. It's easy to pick on him.
Yeah.
I hate saying some of this stuff because I really do like him. Like, he's a really good dude.
Yeah.
But he can't just suddenly show up with a neck tattoo and, all right.
Yeah, but that doesn't make you tough. I mean, I'm just talking about, like, when you got the ball in your hands and when you're going after rebounds and when you're diving for when you're your play, how aggressive you are, your nature, a lot of that I think is sort of your environment you grow up in and how you're coached as a young player throughout high school and college and so on and so forth. I think that sort of develops who you are. It's a really, really tough thing to identify. I always make the joke that you can't coach awareness. That's something I think you're just born with.
That's true.
You're just born with it. Some people just are so aloof and they just don't know.
Right.
Situational awareness, whatever it may be.
Yep.
And I think to some degree, toughness can kind of be like that. But like if you're just because you're where you're born, you're either aware or you're not. That's a mental thing.
It certainly is, and so
I love this conversation.
And some of it is like playing through injury. There's some guys that have the ability to do that, and some guys don't. And I just don't think – I think for most people that doesn't change. Maybe in small increments it does, but I think if you're a 0 on that, you're never going to be a 10. Maybe you can become a 3, maybe a 4.
To go back to LeBron.
Donovan Mitchell is tough as nails.
Yes.
Jarrett Allen will never be as tough as Donovan Mitchell.
Never.
Unfortunately.
Never, yeah.
I remember Griff telling me the Cavs-Bulls playoff series – LeBron's first year back.
Yeah.
LeBron turned his ankle so badly, he said the bone hit the floor. Your ankle bone.
Yeah.
Was on the court.
Right.
All the way, and all he did was bend over, retied his shoe, and kept going.
Right.
That's
it.
That's superhuman to be able to be able to do that.
Right, and he grew into that to some degree.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But
because I just told you, his first time here, he was not that guy.
Right, but he wasn't a 0.
No, he wasn't a 0.
You can't go from a 0 to a 10.
Right.
I just don't think. But and Jarrett Allen, as nice a guy as he is, he seems like a 0 in that vein. I don't know. And the Cavs team is in general, outside of Donovan, doesn't seem like they have that in them.
They're going to hear. They heard it a little bit last year.
Yeah.
They're really going to hear for the next 4 months.
Oh my gosh.
How much they suck.
Yeah.
How soft they are.
Yep.
Can't believe you couldn't play through. Can't believe you missed 2 weeks with the toe.
Oh yeah.
If anything will piss them off and infuriate them to come back better, it should be that. And I think that's kind of what Donovan was alluding to at his end of season, or at the post game that night, where he's like, "You guys are going to write so much, bleep," and because they know what they're going to hear. And I mean, all the trade rumors, all the 98% of them are just senile and just don't make any sense at all. But they're going to see that. They're the generation, they're always on social media. They're going to see all of it. I don't care what they say.
Oh,
they
of course
see it all, they read it all.
And the thing is, even if the Cavs do decide to run it back as is, those guys can't prove a thing till next playoffs.
Yep.
Nothing. And really not till the second round of next year's playoffs.
They could fight someone every game.
It doesn't matter.
Literally start a fist fight every game, and none of it will matter till the
They
playoffs
could
roll
win
around.
82 games. They could fight in the regular
We're back to
season.
LeBron years.
And none of it matters.
We're back to where the regular season, it's like, okay, talk to me in April.
But the difference is that was no one believes them now. You believed then. You just weren't interested in the regular season.
Right, because you knew LeBron didn't care about the regular season.
Now you don't believe in them.
Right.
Which is why you don't
Big
care.
difference, right.
It is a big difference.
And that was hanging in the background for us the whole season. but we enjoyed the season. I know I did for
Yeah.
most of the season until like the last month. We enjoyed it. But every time the Cavs, like the one or two times this past year when they had those, they lost 3 of 7, that nervousness started to creep back. And now it's, it really doesn't matter. There's no way to get excited about next year. People will watch, of course, and you'll enjoy the individual games and individual
You'll get sucked.
performances.
If they win 60 plus again,
It just doesn't matter.
people are going to get sucked in again, though.
But I don't know how any reasonable person would have any confidence in them going into the playoffs.
You're going to get sucked in again, and you're going to tell yourself they were hurt
I
last
won't,
year.
but a lot of people will. You're right.
We'll see, because you're also the one that said you don't care about regular season basketball.
And I got into it.
And you got sucked
I
back
did.
in.
I did.
If they rip off 12, 13 wins in a row again next year, I'm telling you, people are going to get sucked back
No,
in.
I know. You're right. You're right. Go ahead, Mike.
So with this topic,
Yeah.
I asked Jay to help me out. We texted a couple different coaches from various sports, all completely anonymous answers, but we got some answers to the very question we're asking here. Can you teach toughness, or is it something a player has or hasn't? So I picked a couple of the answers that I thought were the best and most well put, and I'm curious what you guys think. I'm going to read these and then we can discuss, but I think a lot of them are in line with what you guys have said. This is from the first coach, who said, I do not believe you can teach that or isn't something you can add. Either a player has it or they don't, in my opinion.
Do we even know can we say what sport this coach coaches?
This was a baseball guy. Steve, next one. Yes and no. Ultimately, soft serve will melt a lot quicker than the real stuff. I was a basketball guy.
All right.
Next up. This one's long. Yes, you can coach toughness, but it's the hardest thing to do. You must have a culture that exudes confidence and is expected by philosophy and style of play. It also has to be a daily thing that you hold guys accountable to. We call it tricking guys into thinking they're tough. I've done it a lot in my career, but our culture is that, and my personality doesn't let guys be any other way. Now, I do think most guys are who they are, and at the end of the day, unfortunately, when the rubber hits the road, they will be who they are. Also think you have to surround the soft ones with dogs. 2 more real quick. Next up, I think it's mostly inherited. Can't really teach or coach toughness into a dude that isn't tough, but sometimes you get a tough dude that doesn't realize it yet, and a coach can bring it out of him.
Yeah, that's what I think we were saying that.
And last but not least, really good question. I've thought about this a lot. I think there are different levels of it, so you can teach to enhance it. But if you don't got it, you don't got it. How far you can push someone to be tough is very different for every person.
Yeah.
So that's a spectrum. Baseball
I think
coach,
a lot of that's
football
in
coach,
line with
basketball
what we were
coach.
saying.
Pretty in line with how we started the
Yeah.
conversation.
I think it's more on the rest of the locker room than it is the coaches. I mean, tell me if
Right,
I'm
your
wrong.
peers, right?
I think it's
Yeah.
more on, it's the other dudes that are holding you to that standard.
It's sort of
and
both.
expecting
It's sort
that
of
out you.
both. I mean, I think in the pros, it's a little bit more your peers.
Yeah. At the younger levels,
At
it's
the younger levels,
coach.
it's always the
It's
coach.
the coach,
It's always
yeah.
the coach. But I think definitely when you get to the collegiate level, professional level, you're looking around their locker room. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
what sort of team we got here?
It's not just toughness, too. It's like instincts for the game, right? Like, that's a part of it, too, part of the whole process. Can you teach? You can't really teach that. I see some kids in Little League that, they're, most kids, you have to say, okay, if it's a fly ball, you're like, okay, tag up. They're like, confused.
Yeah.
There's some kids that know to tag up. There's some kids that know,
That's your awareness level.
just having that awareness. Oh, okay, the first baseman's got the ball. He's not paying attention. I'm going to try to score. Like this, at the younger levels, you either have those things. That's not toughness, but that's just another part of can it be taught? I could practice the cutoff man drill as much as I want. There's some kids that are just not going to get it during the game.
Right.
No matter how much you practice.
There's a reason why, and I talk to college coaches all the time,
Yeah.
they love to recruit kids who their dad's a coach. Like when you grow up in a house with your dad's a coach, there's
You're
a
around
good
the
chance
game.
that the kid's going to have a good work ethic. He's
Yeah.
probably going to be pretty tough. Regardless of his athletic ability, he's going to probably be at least an overachiever. There's a lot of positives you get from kids who
Right.
grow up in a household where the dad was a coach.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.